I'm starting over here where I sit at my computer, and you can see this is the large room. My TV is on but muted. I have a few little rooms along the back wall there. And so now I'll walk out onto the terrace. When friends come over, this is where we usually sit. Ruby says, "How about me? Why am I not in this video?" Front yard, the driveway leading out to my gate. And let's walk down the terrace then. You can hear the neighbors' chickens cock-a-doodle-dooing. And here we are now. This is the area where you can see the area that the dogs can run around in. And you see my Dalmatian there, Casey, playing in the grass. And we'll go in this door. This is the other side of the house. It's also a big room. And into the kitchen. And they're going to get their food ready. And this used to be a courtyard, but I put a floor in it and a roof. And it's my art studio. So you can see I have a lot of my art supplies here, and some of my artwork. And then this door leads back out to the terrace. And now I'm going to go back here. Ruby's been following me around. Shadow's asleep. Oh, well, she's woke up now. There we go. This is a rental, yes.
Okay. So what do they
I
go for in Yogyakarta?
Well, in Yogyakarta, you can easily get something for $100 or $200 a month. This is a fairly big house, and I have a big front yard for my dogs to run around, and I'm paying about $100 a month.
So today we are heading over to the beautiful country of Indonesia with my new friend, Kate Benzin. Kate, thanks so much for being a part of the podcast.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, Kate. I found you. I found Kate and her YouTube channel online, and I love to connect with other YouTubers that are doing similar stuff as me. Check out Kate's YouTube channel, Kate Gypsy. So just go to YouTube, search out Kate Gypsy, Gypsy, and it's
Yes.
Kate Gypsy. It's a very cool channel that covers a lot of information about her experience living. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself, living abroad, but finding this incredible place in this gem that you live in Indonesia. So tell us, Kate, a little bit of backstory about you, where you're from, and how you landed in Indonesia and what town you're staying in.
Okay. Well, I am originally from Chicago. I lived in Los Angeles for several years and a few different places, but I was getting restless. I was in grad school actually to become a psychologist. And I was getting restless, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to stay in one place the rest of my life once I set up a practice. I got to get this bug out of my system. That's what I thought. I want to get this bug out of my system. So it just so happened that I picked up a weekend edition of the Chicago Tribune newspaper at that time. This was 1982. And there was an ad to train people on word processing equipment in Indonesia. Now, I would have gone anywhere in those days, and it just so happened Indonesia came along. I sent my resume in, eventually got a an interview, and got a job offer the same day as the interview. I took a 3-month leave of absence from my grad program, and it was only a 3-month contract. So I thought, perfect, I'll come back, finish my psychology program, get this bug out of my system first. I never came back. I never went back. I stayed. Yeah.
So,
And I lived in Jakarta when I first got here. That was where the job was that I was offered. And it was, I loved Jakarta actually. Not a lot of expats love it. It's a big hustle bustle type city.
yeah.
But, and eventually I got a job in Yogyakarta, but that was many years later. When that job ended, I decided, well, I used to teach Spanish in Los Angeles. I guess I could teach my own language. So I started teaching English to Indonesians at language schools in Jakarta,
Nice.
and then just kept going.
So you've been over there working, teaching ESL for years.
I taught for about 15 years. I eventually kind of got tired of that, and I became a tour director, international tour director in Russia, China, Japan, Holland, France, Spain, all over the world. But I was able to use Indonesia as my base because the company always has to fly you to the beginning of the tour
Hmm.
for you to get started. So I could live anywhere I wanted in the world while I was being an international tour director. And I did that for 18 years. And
Wow.
so then the last 10 years, I've just been bouncing around, retired, and trying to figure out what my next step is in the world.
Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
YouTube. YouTube is my next step.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Kate. I mean, it's interesting because I mean, you're almost like a pioneer. You're one of the first to kind of start traveling and deciding I'm going to stay, live, and
Uh-huh.
find ways to bounce and experience the world in a way that a lot of young people are doing today. For the first time ever, we're seeing such a
Hmm.
large movement of digital nomads doing that, but you're a pioneer.
Well,
Kate
that's the first
Gypsy
time
is a
I've been
pioneer.
called that. I love it.
Today, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Traveling Mailbox. Are you ready to move abroad? Keep a real U.S. address without the hassle? With Traveling Mailbox, you can set up a virtual address that works just like a physical one. No more relying on friends or family to send your mail weeks later. Get your mail scanned instantly, manage it online, and forward it anywhere in the world. Enjoy total freedom and stay connected to the U.S. with Traveling Mailbox where you are. To sign up, click the link in the description, or you can scan the QR code above on the screen. It's amazing. No, that's why I was really excited to get you on as a guest, and I really appreciate it. So tell us how you live in. What's the name of the city that you live in
The
Indonesia?
city I live in is Yogyakarta, which
Okay.
has nothing to do with Jakarta. Jakarta is
Hmm.
the capital. It's in West Java,
Hmm.
and Yogyakarta is in the center of Java. Java's a big island, I
Hmm.
always say it's kind of like the size of Illinois, except it's on its side instead of up and down.
Yeah.
So it's a big island, and it's actually very densely populated. But Yogyakarta, I ended up getting a job in Yogyakarta and liked it better than Jakarta. So I stayed here. Once I became a tour director, I
Mhm.
stayed with my base in Yogyakarta.
Very nice. And so, how far is Yogyakarta from Jakarta itself?
It's about 300 miles.
Okay, so it's a good distance. Do
Yeah.
you fly or do you drive if you ever go there?
Well, I've done both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
It depends on what the purpose is.
yeah, and how far are you from Bali? Because everybody knows Indonesia,
Yeah.
and they think of immediately Bali. People go to
Yeah.
Bali.
I'm about 300 miles from Bali as
From
well,
Bali too.
in
So
the other
you are
direction.
Wow. So you have really selected a place that is real truly off the beaten path.
Well, kind of. There are other expats here in Indonesia, in Yogyakarta, actually,
There are. Okay.
but most of them ended up here either teaching English or working for an NGO,
I see.
NGO, a non-governmental organization,
Yep.
which different countries have these different organizations that come here to help improve this, that, or the other thing.
Hmm. Well, great. Well, you are you ready to dive into some of these questions about the,
Absolutely.
okay, so there are the viewers are always interested in understanding what about the visa requirements to
Yeah.
live or stay in Indonesia. What can you share
Yeah.
about that?
Well, first of all, if you're coming for a visit, you can get a visa on arrival.
Hmm.
That's a very easy way to get here and just take a look around. If you think that's 30 days and you can't renew it in country. So if you think you're going to stay longer than 30 days, then you would get a visa in advance at the local embassy or consulate of Indonesia, wherever you are, happen to be.
Okay.
But once you decide you want to stay a little bit longer, then you have to start thinking about different kinds of visas. I'll talk about two main visas. One is called Kitas, and it's a 1 year visa. It's kind of a residence permit, but it's not a permanent residence permit. It's 1 year long, and you can renew it in country and so forth. And it probably costs around, these prices change from one day to the next. So,
Sure. Yep.
but like $1,000 maybe for a year, $800 maybe.
Okay.
Um, and I found that it's easiest to use an agent to do these things. But once you have done that, then you might get a kitab. If you decide to stay longer, you get what's called a kitab, and that's a permanent resident visa. And that one is 5 years. And then you renew that a next 5 years and another 5 years. And eventually the last time, after you've done it 4 or 5 times, you can renew it again, and it's until you're dead,
Okay.
basically.
So is that typically what a retiree would pursue?
Yes, you have to show that you have a certain amount of income, $1,500 to $1,800 a month.
Hmm.
Uh, you always have to show them a bank account statement for the last 3 months. You have to show them that you're hiring some Indonesian employees to like work in your home. I have 3 people who work in my home, uh, husband and wife who live in, and then a woman who comes in every day and goes home around 2 o'clock.
Hmm.
So you have a variety of things that you have to show them. I'm just taking a look here to see if I miss. You have to have proof of health insurance
Okay.
and things like that. So it's in order to get that 5 year visa.
And that's what you have right now. You have the
I do. I think my
key top.
next one, yes, Kitab.
Okay.
The next one I'm going to be getting is, I think, next 2026, and that'll be, they call it Seumur Hidup, until for as long as you live.
Hmm. Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Now, I had different kinds of visas. That's why I'm doing this now. If I had not had work visas while I was here, then I would have gotten into this routine, this schedule earlier. But because I
Hmm.
had work permits, it put everything off.
Yeah. Okay. All right, great. Great information. Thank you. So, okay, so let's look at let's go dive into rentals now, because it appears I love the decorations and the art you have on your wall. So is that a
That's my
rent?
art.
Is that a oh wow? Is that a
That's
rental or is that a
this is a rental, yes.
okay? So what do they
I
go for in Jogjakarta?
Well, in Yogyakarta, you can easily get something for $100 or $200 a month. This is a fairly big house, and I have a big front yard for my dogs to run around. And I'm paying about $100 a month.
So
Um,
you, Kate, so you have a house with a yard.
yes.
How many bedrooms is the house?
Well, that's kind of a strange question. This big room here, I have a huge room here, and there are three small rooms along this one side, and those could be bedrooms. But I turned one of them into a bathroom and
Okay.
dressing room. And then on the other side, there's another huge area, and there's three rooms over on that side attached to this huge big room again. And the other side is the side that has a kitchen. So
Wow.
it's kind of complicated. It's very unusual actually, the way it's set up. But this is an older house. It was a local person's house, and so it was set up in such a way that it was used for meetings of the neighborhood kind of
Mhm.
thing, and so forth. And so that's why it's kind of set up the way it is.
And how many rooms are there in your house?
Well, this big room, which is my everything room, and then two, which could be bedrooms. One is my dog room and so a bathroom, a big room on the other side of the house, and three smaller bedrooms over there. So it's large. It's pretty
Wow.
large. Yeah,
In this large house, you pay $100 per month.
yeah. I
Wow.
think my rent's going to go up in when I pay next time, but
And what do you
that's
think it's going to go up to?
I don't know. I've been here since 2003. So I've been here 20 some years already. Now,
Okay.
here's one interesting thing that I have to make sure you understand. Uh, the viewers need to understand, anyone who's thinking about coming to Indonesia and renting a place, that when you sign a contract for a year, like a lease, we would call it a lease in the
Yes.
States. Yeah. You pay for the whole lease up front.
Hmm.
So I signed a lease here. We call it a contract. I think I signed first for 3 years. Now, I was lucky that this landlady didn't make me pay for it all at once. But normally, when you sign a 3 year lease, you pay for the whole 3 years all at once.
Okay. So that would be $3,600
Yeah,
up
yeah,
front for you.
right, yeah.
Do they charge a deposit?
No, no.
No deposit either.
Security deposit? No, no.
Wow.
This house was kind of a fixer-upper. And actually, my friends said, Kate, don't take that house. Oh, forget it. It's junk. But I had a vision here. I knew it was what I wanted. And one of the main things, and I'll put this in a video that I sent to you, one of the main things was that it has a huge terrace that goes the whole length of the house and
Mm,
is quite wide. So whenever people come over, I never invite them into my house. I sit out on the terrace with them.
yeah.
And that's one of the wonderful things about living in the tropics is that you can be outside greeting visitors and so forth. And
Yeah.
my eating area is outside also.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Just to see your place and the way you describe it, um, I would just love to hang out at your place on the
Well,
on
come
the
for a
balcony.
visit.
Yeah, one day I'll make it out there and I'll definitely come to Jogjakarta and check it out for sure.
Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
Kate, do they include any of these rents include utilities or are utilities separate?
Separate. And in
Okay.
fact, when you rent a place here, generally speaking, this has been my experience. There's not even a stove or a refrigerator or anything. Um,
Okay.
that you can get furnished places, but by and large, when you rent like a house, when I rented a house in Jakarta when I first got here, there was no stove, there was no refrigerator, and I had to run out and get those right away. And so, no, utilities are not included. Furniture generally is not included as well.
Okay. What do you pay per month in utilities, would you estimate? Now, you have a
Well,
large place. I'm guessing
yes,
most people that move to Indonesia are renting an apartment, like a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. So yeah, give us an idea what you pay and we can kind of
Okay.
go from
First of
there.
all, let me just say that apartments aren't normal here.
Okay.
Indonesia is, there are now apartment buildings in Jakarta.
Hmm.
That's a relatively new phenomenon that there are apartments. If you were to look at Jakarta from like a drone, you would see everything is low level, very
Hmm.
little that, other than commercial buildings. And so my electricity runs about 80, 90, 80, $85 a month.
Okay.
I don't have any water because I have two wells on my property.
Okay.
Um,
So the wells are free, the water's free.
yes,
Okay.
yes. If you have city water, to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if you have to pay for city water. I
Okay.
had city water in one house. There was no charge for that. So I
Okay.
think water basically is free. But yeah, I have two wells on my property.
Okay. So do you have gas or propane?
Propane, yeah. And
Okay.
each one is about $20 and it lasts probably a week, I would say.
Okay.
Maybe
So
2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks.
okay, would
And
you
we use it for cooking, just for cooking, that's all.
okay, so would you say maybe like $60 a month would cover the
Yeah,
propane?
yeah, for
About
sure.
60? Okay. And are there any other costs that you can think of? Is there like a maintenance cost or a garbage removal cost or any of that?
Garbage removal. Oh, that's interesting. Um, that has only started to become a feature in Indonesia. Most
Okay.
of the time, you just bury you. I have a corner of my property where dig a deep hole and we throw everything in. And when it gets full, we cover it with dirt and then dig a different deep hole. But we've started now we found out that there is someone in Yogyakarta who will come and take my garbage away. So we have started to pay someone for that. It's like, $10 a month or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, very little.
Garbage removal. How about Wi-Fi? What do you pay for Wi-Fi out there?
Okay, my Wi-Fi is for internet and my television set. So it's
Hmm.
like cable.
Hmm.
And I pay about $40 a month
Okay.
for a fairly fast, you can get it at different speeds.
Sure.
And I have a fairly fast one, and it's about $40 a month,
Okay.
35, $40 a month. My phone is not on the same plan. My cell phone is, I pay about $7 a month.
Okay.
Yeah. But I can't say I use it all that much. And we don't have those unlimited kind of programs that you have in the States.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people overseas, if they're calling people, especially a lot of people just use WhatsApp.
That's right. Or
Mhm.
Skype. Either
or
one
s-
of those works
or
perfect.
Skype because they're free.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
In
okay.
fact, I went to the trouble of getting a Skype number so that I can call people in the States who don't have Skype, because I know a lot of people who don't have Skype, and I
Mhm.
can call them. So I pay like $6 a month for my Skype number, and then I have unlimited phone calls to anywhere in the United States, Canada,
Mhm.
and Mexico.
Super affordable there.
It is definitely,
It's
yes,
like
yeah.
it's
I
like
live
crazy.
only on Social Security, so it has to be affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about groceries per month? What do you pay for groceries out there per month?
Okay, I estimate that I spend somewhere between 300 to $500 a month.
Ooh, okay.
That includes all kinds of groceries, cleaning supplies,
Okay.
chicken, fish, and so on.
Hmm. Okay. So miscellaneous stuff too, cleaning supplies and everything
Yeah,
else you need. And that's
yeah,
about okay, 300 to 500 a month.
yeah.
Okay. And do you go out much to eat, Kate? Or
I have one of the best cooks in Indonesia as my housekeeper, so I rarely go out to eat. Yeah, I
okay.
have people over here for meals, but I don't go out very often. But today, for example, I was out and I stopped at McDonald's and I got a double cheeseburger, a medium fries, and a Coke.
Hmm.
And it was under $4.
No, okay. So it's a little bit cheaper than it is in the US.
Yeah, I don't know how much it is in the US, but it seems to me that it was like $8 or something like that in the US.
Yeah, it depends on where you live. I mean, there's now, I mean, you can go out and easily for an individual pay $15, depending on where
Oh,
you live, for a meal at McDonald's,
uh-huh.
Burger King. So prices have really risen as far as fast food is concerned. So that's a bargain. How about like, yeah, let's dive into that a little bit. Like, what is a typical Indonesian meal like? What do they serve? And if you go to like the local restaurant around the corner, what are you going to pay for a meal?
Okay, so if I want to get, let's say, fried rice, chicken fried rice or shrimp fried rice or something like that, um, that is going to cost me, um, uh, it depends where I'm going, but if I'm going to a real restaurant, that that dish is probably going to cost about $3, I'd say.
Okay,
Now, there are restaurants here that are more expensive.
sure.
Um, there are some very nice restaurants here that, you can go get grilled salmon and some very nice things, but food is not the biggest savings here. Um, yeah, it is less expensive than in the States, but it's not the biggest savings. I look at housing as being the biggest savings for
Mm.
anyone who's coming here, basically. But
Mm.
but if I go to a local restaurant, a little hole in the wall kind of place, I can easily eat for $1.50, $2.
Wow. And that's a just a local mom and pop Indonesian restaurant where
Yeah, right,
most people
right.
will go to in the
Yes, yes.
locals.
Locals will go to, yes.
And you're going to pay about $1.50 for a meal.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like unbelievable. How much does like a glass of wine or a beer go for over there?
Well, that's, alcohol here is not easy to get. So I'm sorry, I can't help you. I can tell you how much I buy. I get wine from Bali. They make wine in Bali, and I get
Okay.
the boxes of a liter at a time, and
Yes.
that runs me about $30,
Okay.
25, $30. It lasts for, I figure I spend about, if I have a glass of wine every day at home, I spend about $100 a month then. It's
Mm.
not cheap. It's not cheap. And if you want to get French wines, they're not cheap. They're expensive. Yeah.
Good
And
information.
yeah, they're more expensive than if you were going to go to your local store in the States and get wine. And it's because, this is a Muslim country and
Yes.
alcohol is, not considered. Although this is not this is not Muslim like the Middle East at
Yes.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good information. My next question is for the people watching, they want to know what is there to do if they move to Indonesia. Obviously, most people that move there, they go to Bali for the scuba diving, the waterfalls, the hiking, the outdoor activities, and there's a lot of wellness stuff going on in
Right. Yeah.
Bali that people participate in. But if you live a city like Yogyakarta, what is there to do for people?
Well, no matter where you go here on the island of Java, you're going to find nature hikes, hiking trails, and things like that. Yogyakarta is not on the ocean or anything, but there is a beach not far from here, and there are beaches everywhere. You can always find some place to get a beach, but they're not beaches like in Bali. That's where the great beaches are. But
Hmm.
but there's a lot of nature stuff going on. There are all kinds of dance things that people come here to Yogyakarta to learn how to dance Javanese style.
Okay.
And yeah, or to learn the gamelan. Gamelan is an instrument. It's more than an instrument. It's a like an orchestra uh, of different instruments that is very, very unique
Hmm.
uh, and very ding dong ding ding dong dong, kind of
Hmm.
stuff. Anyhow, so there's that. There's those kinds of things. There's batik. People come here to learn how to do batik, and uh, there are courses and all kinds of things like that. Here in Yogyakarta, we have two of the most important monuments in all of Indonesia. Borobudur is the largest Buddhist monument in the world, and it's about a half hour from my house to the west,
Hmm.
and it's a major tourist spot. And to the east, there is a huge Hindu complex, Prambanan. And both of these go back to the 8th century.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, and it's kind of an important part of the history of Indonesia because this is why Muslim here is not the same as it is in the Middle East. We had big Buddhist governments here. We had big Hindu governments here. And then eventually the traders were Muslim. And then that's how Islam came into Indonesia. But it didn't replace the Buddhist stuff. So all the Muslim religion here is infused with Buddhist things and Hindu things and animist things. So it's
Hmm.
quite different from what you would find in the Middle East.
Sounds spectacular. All right. Well, Kate, how do you get around out there? How do people get around? What is the public transportation like? Do they have taxis or ride share? And what are the costs?
Yeah, there are plenty of taxis everywhere. But of course, just like everywhere in the world, we've got our own version of Uber. And here it's called either GoCar or Grab. Those are the two most common ones that we use. And, a 3 mile trip would run you about $3.
Okay.
And a 7 mile trip would run you about $5.70.
Okay.
But there's another way to do it, which is the way I do it. And that is I rent a car and driver for, I always say 4 hours, but it always turns out to be 6 hours or 7 hours or whatever. But he's a guy who works for GoCar, one of the rideshare places. 4 hours costs me the equivalent of about $18. That's not $18 an hour. It's $18 for the complete 4 hours. And it means I can go anywhere in Jogjakarta, and keep all my purchases or whatever in the car, and I don't have to worry about carrying stuff around and everything. So that's the what I consider one of the best ways to get around.
All right. Great info. Okay, so let's dive into healthcare for the viewers, the retirees that are considering
Yeah.
Indonesia as an amazing destination to live in, which it is. What are they going to pay for healthcare? You also mentioned you need proof of health insurance to move over there. So where do you find that prior to moving to Indonesia? And then what are the going rates for healthcare in Indonesia? What's the quality
Okay.
like as well?
Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, your proof of health care, like my proof was Medicare.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Even though Medicare doesn't work when you're overseas, but
That was
that's
good
okay.
enough.
Yeah. And actually, if you have health care, most people, I think, have some kind of health insurance. and they would just have to show that the card or something.
Okay.
Um, and if you're coming here and you're going to be staying for a while, the first thing is you can't get Indonesian healthcare insurance right away. Um,
Okay.
and so you would, if you want international travelers healthcare kind of thing, it's going to cost a couple of hundred, 200, $250 a month from what I can see. I've never had it,
Hmm.
uh, but
Okay.
yeah. Now that I'm on a permanent residence visa, I have Indonesian health insurance. I didn't have to, but I got it. And it costs me about $11 a month.
Wow.
Now, to let you know, I recently had some skin cancer, and
Uh-huh.
I had some very complicated surgeries to cut off part of my ear,
Hmm.
take skin from my thigh to remake my ear.
Hmm.
And the healthcare that I got was wonderful. And how much did I have to pay? Zero, nothing, because
Wow.
there are no deductibles on health insurance here, and there's no pre-existing conditions.
Wow.
So once you have Indonesian healthcare insurance, it covers everything.
How long
But
does it take for an expat or a retiree to obtain
well,
Indonesian healthcare?
when I first got it, I think I had my Kitas. So even when I was on that 1 year visa, I think I was able to have it. But
Okay.
um, but if not, the Kitas goes for 5 years, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year for 5 times, and then you get a Kitab. So for sure, when you get the Kitab, you can do that. But
Okay.
but to give you another example, I went today to the eye doctor, um, and I decided I'm just going to pay it out of pocket instead of going through. It's probably similar to the way it is in the States when you want to use your healthcare insurance. You have to go get and you're going to go to a specialist doctor. You have to get, yeah, okay. So I didn't want to have to go through that. And I thought I'm just going to go to the eye doctor, um, and I needed a complete checkup on my eyes because I felt like I was starting to get cataracts and so forth. So I did that today, and the cost for the whole shebang was, including the eye drops that were given to me, about $30.
When you get cataract surgery to correct that,
Yeah.
will your insurance cover the full
Yes.
cost of that?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And there's no copays or any.
No copays, no deductibles, no pre-existing conditions. No.
And you've been impressed with the quality of the healthcare.
I've had surgery here a few times actually. Before I had this insurance, when I was still tour directing and I had my health insurance through my American tour company, um, I had gallbladder surgery. And so staying in a hospital here compared to in the States is a much more pleasant experience here. The people are the people are so friendly.
Hmm.
You never feel like they're rushing you to get, on to the next thing, kind of whatever. So yeah, my healthcare here has been perfect. Excellent.
Kate Benzin, from Kate Gypsy on the YouTube channel. Check her YouTube channel out. Kate, thanks so much for taking the time of your day to share all this information about living and the cost of living and everything about Indonesia. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm happy to share all my wonderful feelings about Indonesia.